Also expecting a hearing today on a federal judge's injunction blocking Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing sensitive payment systems within the Treasury Department. A coalition of Democratic state attorneys general is suing the Trump administration over this, claiming that by giving DOGE access to the Treasury's central payment system, the Trump administration is violating federal law. Let's talk more about this with Jesse Weber, attorney, host, and NewsNation legal contributor. Jesse, it's always great to have you. These 19 state attorneys general contend that DOGE staffers who were characterized as special government employees were unlawfully granted access to the system. So basically they're saying, right, wait a minute, you want access to this, you go through Congress, you go through the DOJ. And the DOJ is saying instead the president has the power to do this. Lay out those arguments for us, Jesse.
So first, I'll start with the Trump administration's argument that the president has the sole authority to manage, direct, oversee the executive branch and the executive authority, and that you having an injunction or a temporary restraining order is unconstitutionally interfering with his duties to do that, and that he has a right through executive action to direct agencies to take certain actions. And by the way, with the whole Elon Musk of it all, we could talk about how he's an unelected official here, how he's directing things, but the counter argument to that would be he's not actually doing anything. He can't order someone to be fired. He can't order certain payments to be stopped. He can advise it. Now, the counter argument, the one that we're hearing from the AGs, is that this is unconstitutional for a number of reasons. Number one, you mentioned Congress, that it's Congress who manages the spending and payments, that whatever, even an executive action from the president, even though it has the force of law and it's directing an agency to do something, you can't direct the agency to break the law. In other words, you have to make sure you have the authority. DOGE has the authority to do this. And one of the things you'll hear a lot about in this discussion is called the Administrative Procedure Act, the APA. And basically what that says is you can't direct agencies to do something that's arbitrary and capricious. So if you're going to grant access to all of these political appointees, and the judge actually created a separation between civil servants and political appointees, you need reason, you need evidence, you need facts. It can't look arbitrary on its face. Why do they need all this access? And granting access to people in this capacity, not Treasury Department employees per se, that is what creates a high risk privacy risk, a safety risk. That was something that was cited by the judge. So you have two different arguments right there.
Yeah, a fascinating case all around. The other big headline we've been talking a lot about the past couple of weeks, Jesse, is this worker buyout program. Trump got a win this week when another judge lifted a pause on his federal worker buyout program. You know, some might argue that that was based more on technical grounds, but I don't know. A win is a win, is it not?
A win is a win, but it wasn't on the merits. So the reason the judge had lifted the pause, and this can go through, is because the federal unions, the court said they didn't have standing to sue, that they didn't demonstrate that they were actually harmed by this. Their argument was, well, if you allow this to go through, we are going to have to spend so much time and resources and dedicate our attention to helping workers navigate what to do. But the court said that's not enough of a reason. You don't, when we say standing, you don't have a legal right to sue here. And because that's the case, this is going through. But from a practical point of view, for Donald Trump's administration, if the idea was to put forward this federal buyout program, it's going through.
Yeah. And one more before I let you go. The Trump administration attorneys know that much of these executive orders, are going to have legal pushback. But, they're kind of saying that's what we want. We want some of these to head to the Supreme Court, which is conservative and in our favor. How does that work out for them?
I'm sure that's something they want. Doesn't mean, and I can't emphasize this enough. If you look, this is a conservative court, 100%. But if you look at the decisions from the past 2 years, not everyone was in favor of Donald Trump. Not everyone was in favor of the right. And when you're dealing with what are very, very quick actions that are possibly not backed up by the Constitution or law, we can't just assume that the Supreme Court is just going to rubber stamp anything that the Trump administration wants. They have arguments. They have, I think the motive is right. The idea of we want to try to cut spending. We want to do this in the right way. Sure. But if it's not backed up by the law and the Constitution, the Supreme Court, you can't say is automatically just going to rubber stamp what Trump is doing.
Yeah, fair points from history to keep in mind. Jesse, I got to end it there, but thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your wife. Hope you'll have a great weekend ahead. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.